Logging in for another day, and I may have started out a few intros like this here at the trusty Whiteberry Bush just outside of the RD Monastery. If you're an Ironman, you must be very familiar with this place. But yeah, we're going to grab some whiteberries. Not that I'm in very short supply of those. We're going to head to our farming guild and do the contract. And then we're going to make our way back to where we left off, and that is Araxxor. As I get geared up for Araxxor back on Wait For It, here I am back on 416 Hero. It's been a couple of, weeks, and a couple of episodes, couple of videos for us since we've really been on this account other than to use it as a wilderness scout. I suppose this is a good time to butt in and add some context for anybody that might be out of the loop. I'm currently recording and speaking from the POV of Wait For It. This is our maxed Ironman that you may have seen recently in the last few videos, and this is the account that we've primarily been playing on. However, at the start of the series, this was not the account that we focused on. This account already existed, it was already maxed, it was already well into the end game with all the mega rares achieved, I think, and just about everything, right? Like, obviously, we still have things to progress towards, like Grandmaster combat achievements. There's still some niche items that we need to get. And as always, the game is still ever updating, so there's always going to be some things to obtain. But in terms of the YouTube series, we first started this series following the other account from fresh off a tutorial island to where it is now. However, recently we took a bit of a break from it, and we've only been playing one account at a time, and it just so happened our focus was on this account. But I think after taking a break, I am ready to play both accounts again, which is the premise of the series. It is a dolo-gim. I am in a 5-man team. There are other accounts. Two of them are entirely like level 3s, maybe a few combat levels or so. And there is one account that I've explained before, actually, which was a clanmate that did join me later on in my progress, but ultimately never really got into playing it. So for all intents and purposes, I am a solo Ironman. Everything I've accomplished on this account is by myself. And then sometime earlier in the year, I decided to start 416 Hero, and now I am a dolo-gim. But yeah, I think I'm finally ready to start making some progress on this account again after taking a bit of a break. What I'm going to be working on while I'm at Araxxor on the other account is I'm going to be doing some thieving here at Varlamore. It's going to be very low intensity, borderline AFK, so yeah, let's get started on that. Okay, we have 416 Hero set up to pickpocket some house keys at Varlamore, and here on Wait For It, we've geared up heading back to Araxxor. Let's take a look at our collection log real quick. Araxxor, we're up to 941 KC now, and by the time we're done with this task, we'll easily be over 1000 KC, probably even over 1100. We still have 159, it looks like, left on task. Let's see if we can get ourselves at least the second Noxious Halberd piece. We're definitely overdue for that. Alright, wrapping up our first trip, last KC, we get 2 magic seeds. Wow, that's actually pretty huge. We've been burning up a lot of magic seeds, magic saplings, getting 416 Hero to 99 farming. So yeah, that's first trip right there, not too shabby. Some rune plate legs, U-logs, a lot of farming related things, actually, a lot of resources. And over on 416 Hero, the thieving is going pretty great. I'm only doing the AFK portion of it, as in it will auto pickpocket for you for, I don't know what the exact duration is, maybe about 30 seconds to a minute. Actually, that probably sounds like too long, probably a lot less than that, but the point is there is a window of time where you can just click on these wealthy citizens one time without being interrupted, and you pickpocket, because these little guys out here, these like for example Leo right here, or this child right here, they're gonna distract them. In fact, let me see if I can catch this on recording real quick. There's also 1 or 2 other people here doing the same thing as me, actually. So yeah, here we go. Leo is now crying. This wealthy citizen gets distracted by it, checks on the child, and boom, we click once, pickpocket. And yeah, we're just racking up the GP in our inventory, the coin pouches as well, and occasionally we'll get the house keys, in which we already have 18 right now. We also have a whole bunch sitting in our bank, and when we're paying a little bit more attention, we're going to start burglarizing some of the houses, actually. This is the first big boy Araxxor task where we actually gone recently, so whether we get a drop or not, I'm pretty excited to do this boss finally after so long. Obviously, hopefully, I do hope I get a drop, but in general, pretty excited to do this boss. I'm having a good time here. And obviously, having a scythe to farm this boss makes a huge difference. The numbers have lined up to spot our exact finishing KC. We just finished up 950 kill count, and we got 150 left on task. So as long as I can do some basic math here, we're actually going to finish this task on precisely KC 1100. Nice clean number. Too busy yapping here, and I didn't set up the boss in its proper location. We'll do that now. Even though this is just side content right now, I thought I should update you guys on the exact thieving starting position we're at right now. We're 76 thieving, and we've done about 37k EXP gained already within this session. 47k to go until 77. I don't really have an end goal with this right now. I guess we're just skilling just to skill and get our total levels up. I don't know. I'm a little lost on this account right now, to be honest. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily burned out on it, but we have played on this account quite frequently over the course of the last few months, and I just think it's time to refocus onto our maxed account, which actually, you know, depending on when this video comes out, it might no longer be technically maxed because sailing could be out. Who knows? Just got ourselves a spirit seed on the last KC, and I didn't think too much of it. You know, I was like, you know, that's a little interesting. I don't think I've seen one this task. And then I glance over at my loot tracker, and that's our first one ever at Araxxor. So this has got to be incredibly rare. So the game is doing a little bit of trolling. Just a few KCs later on a new trip, we get our first papaya tree seed. Oh man, I don't even know what part of the drop table we're rolling now. I don't even know what to say. But where are the Noxious Halberd pieces? Just snagged yet another new PB here at Araxxor on the previous KC, 56 seconds. So I think beating out the previous one by about 2 seconds. Just came out of nowhere, honestly. Just finished up that Araxxor KC, but in the middle of it, we just got 77 thieving. Let's switch over the POV real quick over there. There we go. Do we unlock anything at this level? Apparently not. Or maybe it just skipped the dialogue. I don't know. 77 doesn't seem very important, to be honest. Back over on wait for it. What do we get? Spider cave teleports. We're rich. Those things are like over 30k a pop. What is going on? We just pulled a rune battle axe. First ever from Araxxor as well. I suppose that is a rare drop table drop though. That does seem kind of familiar. We're currently working on KC 1000 right now. In the enrage phase, I'm trying to talk and not die at the same time. It's looking a little sketchy at the moment, I'm not gonna lie. But okay, we have things under control now. One more scythe swing, ideally. Alright, we just hit a 0. Our thrall quite literally did more damage than us. Classic. There we go. KC 1000. And we got 2 rune plate legs. Mildly interesting. KC 1004. Our fight duration was 1 minute and 4. And we got ourselves some Araxxor Venom Sacs. Not very interesting drop though. Okay, final KC for now, 1018. We got 82 left on task. What did we get there? 2 rune kite shields. Alright, let's get out of here. We've made good progress so far. Just today, 135k Slayer EXP. Araxxor is just crazy good EXP. And honestly, I think from this point on, post Araxxor, every new Slayer encounter just gives a lot of EXP in general. It's kind of crazy. Actually, correction, I don't even think it's Slayer specific. In general, everything is just so much EXP. For example, in our recent Mocha grind, we gained an incredible amount of range EXP. I think like over 18 million or something ridiculous like that. Here's a break in the Araxxor grind because we need a restock on prayer potions. This seems to be a reoccurring thing. Dating back even before the Doom of Mocha grind, we've just been sapping our prayer storage or prayer potion storage left and right. I think I need to make it a more pointed effort to do more herb runs rather than just a couple here and there. We should maybe get into the habit of doing these daily, perhaps, if not more. At least until our prayer potion stack is looking a bit more healthy for more than just a couple of days. A dead herb patch is not what you like to see. That's unfortunate. It's later in the night now, and we haven't really done too much for the rest of the day. We did do a couple more herb runs, so we now are up to about 700 grimy Ranarr weeds, give or take, sitting in the bank. We're going to be converting these into Ranarr Potion Unfinished and ultimately prayer potions. We do have the Alchemist Amulet and the prescription goggles from Mixology, of course. So we'll just have to see how much we end up with. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of this tonight, but I'll definitely finish it up tomorrow before we head back to Araxxor. We are on an entirely separate day now, and admittedly, I didn't do much progress on these prayer potions that I needed. So before we can head back to Araxxor, let me knock those out real quick. We got another 400 or so of these potions to make. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them today because I do want to squeeze in as much Araxxor as possible. So yeah, let's see how many we can get. And of course, over on 416 Hero, we are still at Varlamore pickpocketing. We are now 78 Thieving. I believe I didn't really show 78 Thieving when it happened. It was pretty late in the night when I got it. But nevertheless, we are going to continue thieving, and this comes out to be about like 55k EXP an hour, even when I'm only doing the AFK portion. So this is really good. Again, this is more EXP than 0 EXP, which is precisely what would happen if I wasn't doing this method. So I will take any EXP here, to be honest. Plus, we're racking up the house keys and apparently over 500k in GP. So that's pretty nice. So while I'm just standing here making my prayer potions, I thought to check when I actually pulled my very first Noxious Halberd piece, that being the blade. And according to these screenshots I have of achievement collection log pop-ups, apparently it was KC 125 when I pulled the Noxious blade. Now if we open our collection log here at Araxxor, you can see that we're starting our KC today at 1018. And we don't have a second piece yet, so safe to say we are quite dry. You know, obviously I had my suspicions, but that pretty much confirms it. Okay, I didn't quite have the patience to go through 400 prayer potions, but I am now up to 150 again, so that should be enough to at least carry us through this Araxxor task. And then sometime later, when I'm not in such a rush with my time to go do Araxxor, I will actually stack up my prayer potions. But for now, we have everything we need. Let's get back to the boss. Alright, two things as we've made it to our first trip at Araxxor here. For one thing, I was on the wrong spellbook, so I had to use my cape to change spellbooks to the proper spellbook. And then, now I'm realizing I only have one dragon javelin in my ammo slot. So that's not going to last very long, even considering that we have the quiver with us. Yeah, it's a little scuffed, to say the least. I'm going to try to get through this KC, and then we will re-gear properly. We still have 62 left on task, but it is getting a little spooky. By now, I would have thought I'd have a second Noxious Halberd piece. I mean, in all honesty, you know, we should be done, you know? Like, it's 1 in 200 to see any Noxious Halberd piece. And with the way this works, you can't actually get a dupe piece. So, our first 3 pieces are always going to complete a full Noxious Halberd. But after all this time, we are still on the 1 Noxious Halberd piece, which I think I explained earlier. It was way back at KC 125 here, so it's been a long time. Just returned for another trip. That was KC 1050, so 50 left on task until we get the nice clean 1100 number. Just doing one more KC on the trip at Araxxor, but before we do that, 79 Thieving. Looks like we didn't really unlock anything, but another level. We are now 1829 total. Last KC of the trip there, we got ourselves antidote potions. Okay, antidote plus pluses to be exact. Actually, are there regular antidote potions? As far as I know, there's only antidote plus pluses. Huh. Well, anyways, that was KC 1077. We have 23 left on task to go. A little while later now, we still have the Araxxor task to finish. But I finally got some downtime to make my prayer potions. We now have a pretty comfortable stack of over 400 prayer potions, 4 doses to be exact, so it should last us a good while. I'm on my way right now to finish out the Araxxor task. I imagine it's going to take maybe 4 or 5 more trips, and then we will be wrapped up as we have just 23 left. After we're done with this task, hopefully we get the cape proc and get a back-to-back Araxxite task. If not, hopefully we just pick another one up again pretty quickly. I suppose the next clip will either include me finally getting a drop, or we might be moving on to a different Slayer task. We'll just see what happens. Wow, we just picked up a new PB, beat the previous one by I think 4 seconds. 52 seconds, we're getting faster. Working on the final KC of the task, 1100 KC. Can we please pull an item? I feel like it is more than due at this point. Here we go into the enrage phase. Couple more swings here. Oh, our claws just came up, so we're gonna go ahead and use those. Gets the job done. There it is, task completed. 234 Araxxor KC this task. 209k Slayer EXP, wow. Final pull here. 120 coal. That is unfortunate. Can't remember where these came from, but I had 2 easy clues sitting in the bank, so I went ahead and knocked them out. Let's see if we can get ourselves a ham joint. Oh, we get a collection log. A black pickaxe is a collection log? Interesting. And nothing of note on the second one. I mean, that's easy clues for you, I guess. Well, Colonel, what is going to be our next task? 192 Dagonoffs? No, thank you. Well, okay, we will definitely take this. We went to go skip the Dagonoff task and we found ourselves with 17 spiders. So, back to Araxxor once again. Alright, last one of this small spiders task. Hopefully we get something. There we go. 17 more Araxxor KC. And still no Noxious Halberd piece. What can I say? You can't make this up. After finishing that 17 spiders task, straight back to Curdell, and 244 Araxxites as my next task. Well, surely this time we get something, right? Seems to be a reoccurring event here, but I'm going to have to restock on some of these anti-venoms. The extended anti-venom pluses to be exact, but this is going to be a multi-step process. First of all, we're making regular anti-venoms. This is taking the antidote pluses, combining them with the Zulrah scales. The second step is taking these anti-venoms and then combining them with torstals to make the anti-venom plus. And finally, the last step, if I got this right that is we take the Araxxite venom sacs, combine them with the anti-venom pluses, turn them into extended anti-venom plus. For the final step, when you're converting the anti-venom pluses into their extended variants, you can get a little bit extra by doing 1 doses at a time. Obviously, this is slower because you're not doing 4 doses, but with the usage of the Alchemist Amulet and the prescription goggles, the mixology stuff, you can squeeze out a little bit more from your resources. For example, right here, we just got a 2 dose. Here we go, we've geared up heading into the start of a fresh new Araxxor task, 244. Our starting KC, if I'm not mistaken, is 1,117. Oh, in the middle of a KC here, but we just reached 150 million strength DXP. I feel like it was not that long ago where I checked in at 148 million. But yeah, lots of strength DXP. We're just swinging our scythe non-stop here. But sadly, no Noxious Halberd piece. Instead, we get 2 more Dragon Maces, which we simply just can't get enough of, apparently. A 104, pretty speedy. 45 Earth Orbs. We still got another whopping 211 to go on this task. So surely, I can only hope that we get ourselves a Noxious Halberd piece. And maybe once we get the second piece finally, the third one will come shortly afterwards. We'll just have to see though. Finally happened, Noxious Point. There we go. That's our second piece. You know, I can't even make it up. I was just about to wiki Araxxor again, double check the drop rates, and then plug my KC into the dry calculator. But that was KC 1156. In fact, I really want to take a picture of my collection log before I move on here. So I think I'm actually going to TP out just for the purposes of taking a look at the collection log. Can't do that right now. What do you mean? Alright, we are now 2 out of 3 on the Noxious Halberd at 1156 KC. I like to screenshot my collection logs whenever I'm working towards, I mean, not necessarily green logging, but just like making progress, like getting screenshot checkpoints of sorts. So that was the Noxious point. So all that remains is the Noxious Pommel. That was over a 1000 KC gap between the first piece being the blade and the second piece being the point. So hopefully that third and final piece comes sooner than later, because even with pulling that second piece, we are well overdue for the third one. Just to reiterate, the chance to see any Noxious Halberd piece is a 1 in 200. So the fact that we now have 2 pieces in 1156 KC, we are still incredibly dry. Alright, I've put away the point, or the, I already forgot which piece I pulled, but we have the blade and the point, I want to say. I put that away. We're now back for the back-to-back attempt, I suppose. Let's see what we're gonna get. Here we go, 1157. Imagine the back to, oh, that's okay. Inventory full. Let me eat a crom one. Back to back, maybe. Nope, we get 15 bark. That's probably the worst drop you could pull here. What does the bark even do? I still don't know. I never looked it up. Actually on the enrage phase at Araxxor right now, but I swapped the POV over to 416 hero as a couple more pickpockets there, and there it is, 80 thieving. Made sure to catch that. What does that get us? We can now pickpocket heroes. That's kind of irrelevant. And then switching back the POV over to wait for it. What are we getting over here on this KC? My inventory is full once again. 4 toadflax seeds. Okay, well that's just not as exciting. Well, with the scythe, it seems like you can never put in enough charges. We're down to 1,900 charges now, which might seem like a lot, but that's going to disappear quickly. Faster than we could realize, especially now that we're camping Araxxor and constantly swinging our scythe non-stop pretty much. So I'm going to get ahead of the problem before we completely run out of charges and go ahead and put, I think 180 vials in the well right here should do the trick. That's going to be 1,800 charges, I believe. Or 18,000, not even 1,800, 18,000 charges. So we use the scythe on it, charge the scythe. And yes, all 180 vials, 18,000 charges added, 19,929 charges, almost the full 20,000. And now we have about 57,000 blood runes left, which again is one of those things where it seems like that's a lot of blood runes, but I mean, we just burned up what? Nearly 40,000 blood runes right there. So yeah, we're gonna have to top up on our blood runes at some point too. Alright, that was a little unfortunate, I suppose. KC 1193, and I just got 3,000 coins. 99% sure that's on the rare drop table. Just cut that Araxxor trip a little early, and that's because I'm going to go gear up for some Theater of Blood. We still have 165 Araxxor left on task to do, but we're going to take a bit of break and hopefully get some purples. First raid of the day, no purple, unfortunately. Unfortunately, no purple, although that second top KC there was a bit of a mess. It is what it is, though. I ended up only doing those 2 top runs and called it a night for the most part. Just been chilling here, doing some more pickpocketing, some more thieving over on 416 hero. We did hit 81 thieving recently, and we are on our way to 82. I think I'm going to call it a video here, though. We made some nice progress on Araxxor. These tasks are pretty big, and getting back-to-back tasks, what is that, almost 500 KC worth of Araxxor, which, despite it being just a little bit over a minute at a time for each KC, it does add up. We'll continue in the next video and hopefully get our last Noxious Halberd piece.